Hope everyone is doing well. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everyone is doing well and having a good middle of the week. How are you all? How is your week going? How's your day going? Hope you are all doing well. You made it to the middle of the week. It's pumpkin spice latte. It's going to be here for Starbucks soon, and for Tim Hortons is already out. So, what else you can ask? Nothing else. How are you, Dushan? What is the scent of the day? Let me know. Here is this fizz coming in here. Anyways, so okay, third. Okay, hi Juan, how are you? So for today, I am wearing, first time ever also I noticed, I am wearing the Allure Sport cologne that I have purchased from Pergoli. But now I see, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's that little stuff inside the bottle, like just little things. I don't know what that means. Like I can see little particles inside the fragrance, so I don't know what this is about, but this is really beautiful fragrance for for kind of like today. It's gonna be sunny, then it's gonna be rainy, then it's gonna be sticky and hot. So that for that it's a really beautiful fragrance for that kind of weather. So if you have not tried Allure Sport, give it a try. It's perfectly unisex to me. I don't think it's like goes masculine or feminine in any really direction. If anything, maybe it's a little bit more. It has florals in it, and it has some sweetness. Crowley says it's feminine, but I think it's quite unisex. I'm working on a formula, so I can't wear fragrance today. Oh no! Scent of today, Greenlee. I don't think I have ever tried Greenlee. Hi, morning, CK. How are you? Scent of today, Victor Wall. Yeah, so I don't know what Victor Wall is. So Allure Sport, quickly talk about this. Sport cologne. One Allure Sport cologne. Have you tried the Allure Sport cologne? What do you think of it? Let me know. But then we're gonna get to our topic in a minute. Allure Sport cologne was 2007 release, and Jacques Polch, lemon bergamot, grapefruit orange. It's basically any citrus that under the sun, and aldehydes, neroli, fir resin, spices, elemi resin, white musk, pepper, atlas cedar, vetiver, and tonka bean. One waitress in a bar has the same hair color as you, Mitra. She is Mersh. Ooh, say hi, Mersh. I don't know if that's the name. Hi Mo, how are you? It's still hot here. Yeah, so it's gonna be like, it's gonna be hot, but it's still also like mornings are cool. Like mornings are like about 19 degrees, 18 degrees, sometimes dips down to 15, 16 Celsius. And then during the day, it goes up a little bit, but then nights are cool too now. Like our August is kind of our cool month, which is kind of really in a contrast with what it was in Iran back home, because August is like the hottest month of the year, really. Anyways, getting into topic of the day. So I've been kind of following this new release of the Chanel. Hi Babush, how are you? I've been watching this Chanel new release and kind of people's review on it. Like this is the Bleu de Chanel exclusive. And I have been curious about the fragrance, number one. And then the other thing that makes me kind of wonder about it is I've been observing the reaction of the Fragcomm to it. And it is very interesting, and that's why the topic came today. As I was watching Jacob's review of Bleu de Chanel exclusive yesterday, I watched Sebastian's review, the Perfume guy's review of the exclusive of the Bleu de Chanel, and a few things came to my mind, and I myself, I have gone through a little bit of that with the Guerlain releases over the past few years. I think pretty much since 2022, I would say. I think 2021 was where they released Aristorophy, and their releases onward from that time. And I feel like it is a common sentiment shared in the Fragcomm amongst the people who have been into fragrances for like luxury designers and really niche fragrances for a long time, like not the new wave of people who are wearing fragrances since COVID, but basically maybe between them too. But what I'm seeing most from the people who have been wearing like or been into this kind of fragrance world for many years, like 10 years and over. Babush is wearing Bellamy today. Beautiful. No YouTuber has a genuine review on the new Chanel. Yeah. So what I was thinking about is that I was curious about why, right? Um, it's I don't want to say they are being dishonest like on purpose. Like maybe there are people who are dishonest on purpose, but there are also biases, right? There's a lot of biases in the fragrance community. Like when I do some work or I do some presentation, they always ask us to include perceived bias or um, perceived bias and the real bias, right? Like, so there will be a bias that I think it's a bias, but then there's also a perceived bias that I don't think that it affects my work, but I should inform the people who are listening to my work. This is the perceived bias, right? And that's our guideline. We have to, otherwise we can't present things. Sebastian slammed it all. I think it would have been better received if it came out in a similar 60 ml at a cheaper price, like Dior did with Sauvage Elixir. Sebastian is also being dishonest. It's available in 60 ml, is like $10 more than Sauvage Elixir at retail. So, okay. So my thought was, as I see it, I feel like there are people who would basically everything on their channel that they review. Okay, and those are also two kinds of people. There are people who review fragrances that they bought and have full bottles of because they love those fragrances, and they have them, and they love them, so they review them. They bought the fragrances and they bought the bottles. Hence, everything that they're going to review from their collection, it's going to be good review because they love those fragrances. So that's kind of like an acquisition bias, right? Like, so there's been the reviewer buys only fragrances that they love, so they're going to review those fragrances, not anything else. Okay. There are also people who basically get access to have different means and get fragrances in PR or free or whatever, and every single review on their channel is good. Everything that they promote is great on the channel, and whether it's received in PR or their own or whatever, that kind of raises an eyebrow. Whether it is a real bias in that like it's purposefully meant that way, or there are some sort of like, how can you slam down that's something that's given you for free, you know what I mean? There's that kind of unconscious pressure to review something as good or see it as good because of it. I feel like there's that bias, and then there is the and then there are the rest of us, like we get samples with our purchases or things like that, and we review them. We don't like them, we like them. We do blind buys, we like them, we don't like them. So there's that. There's also a bias, I feel like, and feel free to interrupt and comment or whatever. I think also there's a bias in that when we have an attachment to a house, and this came out as I was listening to Jacob specifically. I'm not talking about anyone else. I know Jacob loves the House of Chanel, and I know he cares about Chanel, even though they have not been very kind to a lot of YouTubers recently. or like taking down stuff. Like I can't even post a picture of my own bottle. It will be straight down. Like, why is that? This is mine. And that, like, has nothing to do with your brand. Like, why can't I post a picture of my bottle? They have not been very nice to the YouTubers, but there is a love. We have a connection with this house. I have always identified myself as a Chanel girl and also love Guerlain like the same way. Hi, Alicia. So we have this attachment with House of Chanel and Guerlain and those houses, right? And I sometimes feel that the harshest critique of anything is the closest person to you sometimes. Like that good friend of yours who wants the best for you. They might be a little bit like, if they are not restrained by, oh, I might hurt her or whatever, they will say, this is terrible. What are you wearing, Mitra? Like, this is ridiculous. I love those friends who can tell me those things and come out and like flat out tell me those things. And they are that comfortable. I mean, mind you, that's just kind of like have to be in that level of friendship that to be able to do that. There's also boundaries. I felt like the perhaps my disappointment in Guerlain and Jacob's disappointment in Chanel comes from a place that we have this attachment with this house. We love this house. We have seen great things coming out of this house. We identify with a lot of things in this house. And to put something shit out there, it's like, come on, like you could do better. It's like almost, let's say, okay, just a comparison. Let me just read some of the, oh no, let me just give the comparison first because it won't make sense otherwise. My oldest plays soccer very well, very well. He's always been like ahead of his age group. He plays with older kids and elite leagues and stuff like that. And some days, he's tired. Basically that's the reason he's tired, and he plays not very well. And sometimes I've caught myself being a little bit overly critical. Whereas like if you put him at his age range and like other kids like who are beginners, he plays well comparison to them, even when he's tired, right? But then I feel really harsh and like, it was like a famous comment of some of us came out as like, I could replace you with a pylon in the game. Mother of the year, mother of the year comment. But that's also, I think, it plays a factor into it. Whereas if we had seen a crap release from a house that we didn't care for, would we be so harsh on them? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it comes from a place of care. Let me just read the comments a little bit. Um, some people just love to. Hi, Maverick. Some people love to bash everything new. It's definitely a bias. Yes, and I could also see that. Like there are people who, man, I hate those kind of people. Like, and sometimes I catch myself turning to them. Like, please like the stream, subscribe if you haven't. Those nice things. We have a lot of people in the house, not a lot of likes, but please do. It means a lot to me. So there are some people who would be like the same genre of people, right? Like our parents would say, "Oh, when I was going to school, I would walk a mile like in snow up to my whatever, like, and everything was great." No, everything was harder for them. No, but then back in old days, everything was great. And that's kind of like that's generally a human being's bias. Like a lot of us feel like there was a pivotal point of time that things changed, and everything before that was great, and everything after that was not so great. And that's generally not true. When you put the facts together, I can see that. Chanel would definitely ask you if you give a bad review of a free bottle. I know, I don't even know, like, I mean, in order for Chanel to send you a free bottle, I mean, I think you must have, like, I don't know, 300K um, subs and stuff. Because I don't know if they do it for, like, a lot of people, like, a lot of general ones. I think there's also bias in trashing a fragrance before even it come out in the side effect. Yeah, yes, probably, and that's great point that you brought. I feel like there's also this contrarian culture, like and people wanting to stand out, and people wanting to be different, and people wanting to, like just have a different view of things or things like that. And then for those people, they often come out with like a different view or like a overly harsh, overly whatever, which is kind of like a tactic. I don't know how you say it properly. That's the thing, to stand out and get more views. There's that absolutely. And then like just kind of like planting the seed of, ugh, why would you put this note in it? If my fragrance hasn't come out and you haven't smelled it, then why are you like trashing it before it comes out? That's for sure. I don't feel biased or anything. Biased, I think, for anything, but I don't do reviews really. Maybe it would show up more than, yeah, I mean, I don't call myself a reviewer for sure, like, because I don't think I have the expertise, I have the knowledge, I have the experience in the fragrance world to really, and even like the nose to the point that, I would call myself a reviewer. But basically, we're sharing our opinion about the fragrance, really. Carl, you're biased against Tower. Here we go. Some of your biases showing up. Now it's done. Over. Expectations are too high. People forget these houses only care about profit. Yes, and that's another thing. I was thinking, like later on, I'm going to mention about it because there are a few points that I got from. Actually, I asked ChatGPT, and I'm going to go through them. We can see like if you agree or not. I am still changing my mind on stuff I've owned for 5 years. Yes, and that's another thing, right? Like as you have fragrances for a while and you wear them, the things that you loved 5 years ago, you might not love now, and the things that you love now, you probably hated 5 years ago. Like that, my taste changes all the time, even though there are certain themes are there. Like amber has always been something that I enjoyed. Iris has been not always. Lie. Iris has always been like 2 years. Vanilla has been about 4 years. So there are things that kind of stay the same, but there's also like new stuff that I get into and appreciate more than I never have. Like maybe like in 5 years from now, I will love tuberose. I don't know. Like I can't predict that. Walked up both ways to school and home. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like that's the kind of, when I was whatever, everything was so great. And I'm like, oh my God, every phrase that starts, back in 1980 something, like it's not a good phrase. Anyways, so I asked ChatGPT why seasoned fragrance reviewers are often disappointed in many recent releases. And then ChatGPT came up with a bunch of stuff. And we can go through it and you tell me if you think it's true or not. Number one is the reformulations and cost cutting. So the explanation that they gave was the classic flankers of old reissues are reformulated with cheaper synthetics, familiar facets are flattened or lost. I think that's kind of true. Like in terms of that's not really about the new releases. I think it's about kind of the reformulation in general, or maybe, like when they come up with, like, for example, I reviewed Absolute Pour le Soir yesterday, that 2010, and it seems like people are disappointed in the new one. I don't know if the notes look different. I don't know if there's a, reformulation or anything that comes with that, but that is true for the reformulation, not really the release, a new release of the fragrance. Feel free to comment and tell me what you think of each point that I'm mentioning. Trend chasing and sameness. That is, I think, actually has a point. Saying brands copy successful accords, amber accent / vanillin, amber to light, heavy. So many fragrances smell interchangeable. That is absolutely true. All right. And I feel like, I don't know if that's the problem of there's just so many scent profiles that you can create, or is it really the trend chasing? But I feel like there's like, it's been this going on, like every brand wants to have a baby cat, every brand wants to have a Sauvage, elixir, or like people are just looking what, I guess they're also looking to see what market is buying, And if that's the case, then they're just kind of like trying to have that scent profile in their fragrances. Reformulation is definitely at the top of my list right now. Yeah, but reformulation not for the new release, right? Like not a new fragrance release. That won't be a reformulation. It's the it is basically a disappointment in fragrance industry, I would say. Just I absolutely agree. It's just that the category wise it doesn't fit. The next point he mentions is the big budget campaign, celebrity names or elaborate storytelling replace careful composition and restraint. That is absolutely true. I feel like it says marketing over substance. So that's the next point is the marketing over substance. And I feel that really hard. I think especially with ChatGPT coming and these AIs that kind of not too obvious that's written by AI, but they kind of obvious if you are like familiar with it. And it seems like this marketing is so huge and builds up really a lot of hope. And then you smell it and it's like, is this it that you wrote all these things about? And sometimes I feel people who are writing the fragrance descriptions are not the people who are actually testing this and writing it based on their experience of interpretation or where the fragrance is taking them. And that takes someone who is good with their senses and who's good with the noses and they're good with the emotional connection between their senses and what emotionally they go through, and they're good in writing. So that's a lot of talents going together and simultaneously. I can't imagine that there are a lot of those people around. I have the new Bleu in the mail. Oh, we shall see it, Carl. If you heard what they could oh god. Guys, if you have not watched Jacob's review, I would say just for like it is so funny, like to go watch it because what did he say? He said, "Oh my God, these guys! I can see these guys the gym bros who gonna go to the gym and they only do upper body and what did he say? Their legs are like this and this thick, but then their tits are the size of Mount Everest. We'll be wearing this, choking everyone at the gym." And I was like howling. It was so funny when he was saying it. Like if you have not watched it, please do. Yes, yes, I died. I died laughing. He's like hilarious on that. Um, Celebrity names, I don't really care about celebrity names in there, but maybe there are the celebrity name factor in there. What is dishonest or biased about creators of content saying that if you already have the Bleu de Chanel EDP and Parfum BDC exclusive is redundant? I want I went to Macy's and confirmed such. No, there's nothing dishonest about that. Uh, it's not dishonest. Why would it be dishonest? I'm just talking about the biases. Like I'm just talking about the biases and the dishonest would be where so the difference between dishonest and bias, I feel like there is the where you know what the truth is and you purposefully change the truth and say something else to the contrary. The difference between bias is that you your experience previous experiences of something and your perceived notions about a brand or something or anything in your life changes your you were good time talking changes your perception of what you are going to experience. Like it's like your mind is so powerful that when you even like this has been proven when you see an artwork of someone who you don't love or you have something really personal against, you will not see beauty in it. Like that's just how your mind is, right? And I can presume that it applies to fragrances as well. Yeah. No, I know. I get what you're saying, JR, for sure. The next point being, what's it say? Over reliance on synthetics. Heavy synthetic notes give bluntness and a lack of nuance, um, or natural complexity, natural complexity reviewer value. Synthetics have been used in fragrances for a very long time. If it is used in a proper way and if it's used in a good dose, it actually gives the fragrance depth. It gives the fragrance facets that you can't do with naturals. Um, But I understand what they are talking about, and this is about, like, I'm to be honest, for me, the worst part of this is the amberwood trend, and that's just making me nauseous. And I think I'm not alone in that. Cypriol also, overdose of Cypriol and amberwood, like just making me nauseous. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Hey, at least there's my twin brother, Rich, who doesn't like that as well. But um, so I would say, the amount that has been used and hyperdosing everything is bigger and better, and like whatever monstrous is better. That is probably a factor as well. But there's a lot of people that are into it. Hi, Raymond. How are you? Next point. They're talking about weak performance, short longevity, poor projection, or conversely, obnoxious blasty opens, frust- frustrate critics who expect balance. Yes, that is absolutely like, but I can see how there is this new wave or new generation of people who love like to wear fragrances that last for 24 hours, chokes everyone in a mile radius, and like the plants will wilt in their presence. There are people who like that, but for a lot of us, I am generally, uh, my senses I'm not bragging at all, but like it's actually a curse. Um, my sense of smell and hearing specifically is really heightened at all times. So, which means that I don't filter out a lot of things that become repetitive. So for those kind of fragrances that really last, like they smell really overwhelm me and then last forever. It really overwhelms my senses at by 8 hour mark. I just want to scrub it off and like just wear something else that's more quiet. So that is for me is difficult. I wonder if like the brands even like, do the brands know? Do you guys know? Like, anyone has any insider information, please let me know. Hi, Jordan. Um, do the brands realize that this amberwood things, because they're so like hardened, like, oh, this is allergic, oh, we can't use this, we can ban Liliol, we can ban this because like 1 in a million person has allergy to it. Whereas your amberwoods, I'm pretty sure makes more people nauseous. I wonder if brands know about that. Also, to me, it talks to the creation process, right? Sometimes these things are, when you smell it for like 3 minutes and you're not wearing it on the skin, is they're not a non-issue. Hi, Am, how are you? Um, but once you start wearing them on your skin and you experience them during the day, then these become an issue. So I wonder if the creator of the fragrances, are they wearing them on the skin? Are they like testing it for days in a row? Like, aren't you noticing all of these? Because as a nose, I can't. This is what I don't understand. Like, as a nose, you have a sensitive nose, you can pick up notes. How can you not notice that a fragrance that you're putting out is like so overwhelming for senses and or nausea provoking for a lot of people, like that's to me raises a concern for the creation process. Next one, so it's a lack of originality and risk taking. That is absolutely true. I feel like a lot of um, there's been this trend that a lot of like new releases are quite safe given what market spends money on. Like I would say, really, for me, like putting an amberwood bomb and me as a consumer, it's not a safe thing to do because most likely I will not buy it. But it seems like those fragrances sell. Yeah, those fragrances sell. So they're just looking for something like that, and that it's safe in terms of the profit margin. I feel like what Yes, I understand that as a brand, you want to make money off every fragrance that you put out. Like, you don't want to lose money on a fragrance because that's your living or whatever. That's a business model for you, and that's a way of you paying your bills and whatnot. However, there are ways that you could do things a little bit differently. Not every bottle of every fragrance that you own has to be mass produced of like, I don't know, a million bottle at a time. I think there is a place for limited releases, like, or low stock releases. Like, for example, you're putting out something that is very niche, put it out, like if you're producing a million of your like top seller or what you think it's going to be top seller, produce, I don't know, 1,000 of this one and see how it goes and test it as it comes, right? If the 1,000 sells, the next year you can do another 1,000, right? I think there are ways that you could kind of keep that balance going with even making the money. But I may be wrong. I don't know. I don't know, own a brand. I don't know that I don't own a business. Maybe, but just wanting every single release of yours to make a lot of money and bring a lot of profit, I don't feel that is realistic, number one, or number two, like it's gonna make your brand very bland. I think that's my view. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. And don't name your fragrances after drugs. Yes, well, I mean, that's we are a dopamine nation, right? Like, drugs is huge. Like, we are all getting our hit of dopamine by anything. Like, we are addicted to internet. We are addicted to social media. We are addicted to our phones. We are addicted to work. We are addicted to workouts. We are addicted to perfumes, all sort of stuff. And this is a dopamine nation, and they're profiting from that, right? Sorry, I'm just gonna get a sip of my coffee for a second. Personally, like, as a mom, really, like, I know, sorry, I'm just gonna reposition myself here because I like to sit like that. Okay. As a mom, I would not bring a fragrance bottle that's called cocaine to my house. That's Frank Buckley has a fragrance called cocaine, and because I have kids at home who can read, and I don't know, ask it what is that, and then like, while I will talk to them about drugs, but I'm not ready yet to be bringing a fragrance that's called that. And then the questions that come from it, right? Like, my kids are quite curious and they won't take everything by just face value. They're going to ask me, it's like, why are you wearing a fragrance that's called cocaine? And what am I going to say? Um, um, what it was the next point being greenwashing and opaque sourcing. Greenwashing, I've never heard that. Claims about natural or sustainable ingredients without transparency undermine trust. Oh, I have no idea about that. Which seems to be suggesting, hi Delise, how are you? Center today, Amber Supreme. Ooh, that's a challenging one. So I don't know if there are brands that they claim to be natural and sustainable, but they don't. They are really not. If you know of such brand, please let me know in comments if you've heard of them or anything like that. Please let me know. I don't know if there are brands like that. I mean, I wasn't aware of it anyways. You smell great. Well, you love challenging scents, right? Like, I think, Lisa, I've kind of figured what's going on in this top of my head. Like, I don't know, like the fizz is going on. But I know that you love to challenging fragrances, so I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Like, here is the kind of a very good example. Ambre Supreme by the House of Lisanne de Model is not a fragrance for everyone, right? I don't feel it is not a mass appealing fragrance by any chance. But there are people who love that and enjoy it. Now, if I owned the House of Lisanne de Model, I would not make the same amount of bottles of the Ambre Supreme that I would make of Veni Havane, because Veni Havane is more mass. Amber Supreme is clean, but it's not really clean. I don't think it's clean. Amber Supreme is not for everyone. That's what I said. Didn't that one brand sue Aaron Terrence for saying the brand didn't have oud? I forget. I have no idea. No idea. ATH, I can't. I mean, while I see where he's coming from, but Aaron Terrence Hughes fragrances are not for me. They are a chemical bomb. And I'm saying that without having knowledge of what goes into their fragrances, but it smells like something that came out of a lab, and I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, it really, I don't like fragrances that my brain has no point of reference. Sometimes I struggle with that with Le Labo, like, for example, another 13, but that's still kind of like tolerable to me, but not ATH. Remember something about that. Okay. Um, okay, what was inflated pricing versus perceived value? High prices for mass market formulation disappoint reviewers who weigh composition and its quality. That is absolutely true. That why would I spend like the prices of the designers and niche have gotten so close. Like the niche, really the houses that they put. There used to be a much larger gap between the two because of the quality of the ingredients and the work that it went to and blah blah blah. But they're getting so close. Like now you're getting a designer for like $200 for 50 ml, and I'm like, no, that for that price I could buy something that has more of a personality, a uniqueness, and some sort of love gone into it, right? Like rather than I would compare it. So back home, you can get carpet that is made by machine, and those carpets are perfect. They're like the measurements are perfect. It's the same size from it's like the like it comes in a rectangle, and the sides of the rectangle exactly the same size. But then you get carpets that people make, like people I don't believe, not how you call it, but how you make a carpet. But anyways, people make, and those carpets are not the perfect, and they have they might be like let's say 4 foot in one side and 4.1 in the other side. So, or not, 4.1 is too much. Like this, there's a difference, like in a centimeters, like wise, but yeah, 4.1 is way too much. Like I think it's about maybe 2 centimeters difference in 1 inch difference in each way. But they have their beauty, and there's a soul and love has gone into it versus something that's machine made, right? L'instant de Guerlain pour Homme, beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So there is this kind of, yes, if the machine made carpet comes to the same price as the handmade. Like I am not buying a machine. Machine made was made back in the day when I lived in Iran. Machine made carpets were made for people who couldn't afford handmade carpets, and they were much cheaper. If this is the same price, I'm not gonna buy, or very close. I'm not gonna buy a carpet that's made by machine. I'm gonna support the business and get it from someone who made it and put love in it, really. Um, rushed launches, and limited depth. Absolutely, this is true. And I see this for the houses that they're pumping out fragrances, like 4 or 5 fragrances a year, and that's way too much. And I'm sorry to say this, Andy Tower, I'm looking at you. Um, I felt like House of Tower was quite niche, and they had really, really good fragrances, but I am worried that they're going down that road. Wear what you like and what you're happy with. Forget what anyone else says. Different tastes, different tolerances. So a brand can't make everyone. No, they can make everyone happy. But I'm talking about my observations of this kind of phenomenon of reviewing of the new Bleu de Chanel, and this kind of thought sparked from that. Nothing beats Persian carpets. My mom had a collection, basically. Oh, yes, Persian carpets are absolutely gorgeous. I actually have a few on. Yeah, so we have carpets that you put on the floor, and those are generally low density of knots per centimeter. So that's how you call, because I come from a part of Iran that is very famous for the carpet also. So you know that the handmade carpet is high quality by per knots of like a centimeter. So if there's a 60 knots per a centimeter, or there is 40 knots or 70 knots or 80 knots per centimeters, that becomes more refined and refined. So like when you get to above 60, the carpet is really, really thin because you have to put a thin threads in it, and the knots become much more in the centimeters. So, but you'd never put the carpet that has a knot above 60 on the floor. Those are decoration for the wall, which is very interesting. It's something people haven't noticed, but I have a few of them, and some of them. So some carpets, some Persian carpets are. So the designer would design certain flowers on the carpet would be in silk, pure silk threads, and those will be, you know, shinier, like obviously, and the ones that have silk in them, they cost more, obviously. It looks amazing and they're so soft. Yes, 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 yes. And the more per knot you have, the more expensive it would be. The pricing would be on. And it has losses mining. Yeah, I feel like it. Sometimes I'm worried about that brand, to be honest. And again, that goes to something that I talked about earlier, that thinking that, you know, is it that the brands are looking at, like these kind of brands, like niche brands, looking at, okay, is this what is selling and everyone is having and everyone goes goo goo gaga about it? Here it is, take it. Like same thing with Francis Kurkdjian. I feel like that's a little bit of a professional nihilism, if I may. Let's look at the next point. It says influencer driven influence. Releases tailored to algorithm friendly impressions rather than lasting artistic merit. And that's absolutely true. I feel like that's true. I mean, I think ChatGPT summarized it in a good time. So talked about reformulations, trend chasing, marketing over substance, over reliance on synthetics, weak performance or too much of performance, lack of originality, and risk taking. Talked about short longevity projection, or the other way. Oh, I read that greenwashing and opaque sourcing, inflated pricing, perceived value, rush launches and limited depth, and influencer-driven influence. I don't know if there's anything else in terms of like what is affecting this kind of general disappointment in the fragrance world. And correct me, because I don't even know like fragrance reviewer was a thing, let's say 20 years ago. Was there, I mean, probably people were reviewing fragrances, but it wasn't out there as much. So I don't know, like if we look at the reviews of the 20 years ago, were people, I'm wondering if this disappointment is a thing once you get seasoned in fragrances, even 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. So let me know if anyone knows that. If you're watching it later, leave me in the comments. If you think that that's something that has happened before, and if you have experience back then, because I don't know. I should probably look it up. The next part is like what reviewers want. So ChatGPT gave me some more. The first point saying that reviewers want original, well-balanced composition with interesting development. That is true. I think sometimes I may say though, like with transitions, and you know, so there's a place for something that you just want to wear and it just want to smell like that. You don't need 100 phases of the fragrance going through different phases and coming out or whatever. You just need to wear something that smells good. But I would say it is like what keeps the fragrance exciting. If it's gonna last me like 6 or 8 hours, it would be nice to have transitions from different from different phases. Transparent sourcing and honest marketing. That is, yes, that's what we want. Good technical execution, longevity, CR projection, appropriate to the concept. Absolutely, right? I think the key is the appropriate to the concept in there. Risk-taking our artistic voice rather than trend replication. I feel that's true. How brands could improve, preserve, or properly rework classics when reformulating. Yes, I think there's always, you know, unfortunately, like I think there's also that they're chasing, like as a dopamine nation, we are always chasing something new that it's going to be the best and it's going to solve our problems. Like that's obviously it's exaggerating, but we're like always looking for something new that's going to be the best and we're going to knock our socks off or whatever that is. And for brands to balance that between keeping the things that it's timeless, like Guerlain Habit Rouge is timeless. Let's say, I don't know, I would say like, why Guerlain would you discontinue Bois d'Armenie? Like that's ridiculous. It's timeless and it's a beautiful fragrance. Why would you discontinue Iris Torfi? Why would you? There are rumors now they may discontinue Angelique Noir or Curie Beluga, and I'm like, the fuck? Like honestly, I am done with brand of the Persian carpets. I am done with Guerlain if they discontinue Cuir Beluga. That's where I draw the line. I'm just gonna file a divorce from brand of Guerlain if they do that. Like, I'm really disappointed in this kind of discontinuation. And then the how brands can improve. He's mentioning this. Okay, I read that. What did it say? Prioritize composition depth over marketing theatrics. Absolutely true. They take out these old kind of elaborate bullshit like description that you write. If somebody's going to write about your fragrance, please make sure that they actually have a nose and experience, have a good sense of smell, have experiences with writing fragrances, and do have that talent of, translating their emotional experience of a fragrance to a good description. Not too long, not too much. Just don't use this kind of like a clickbait words in there, throwing a sex appeal and throwing a power and a masculinity and all these kind of things. It's just so cliche, brother. Ew, like, honestly. And the last one is invest in, be transparent about ingredients and creative intent. That is true. Invest in perfumers' time to develop distinctive and lasting scents. And to be honest, I feel like there's also a point in like that. That is a good point. Like, just saying that, who are you targeting with this kind of releases? This is for, I don't know. I don't know if you could say that, because then it would be like age discrimination. Like, you could kind of make a hint that this is like a perfume for youth and like teenagers or something like that. There's a place for that. And I think people would review it more kindly if they know that that's what it's intended for. Like, so if a brand like, let's say, a lot of European brands put out baby perfumes, like Hermes has a baby perfume, that's just a cabriole. Givenchy has one. Um, you're not gonna really review a baby perfume to the standards of like a complex fragrance, right? So in the same way, if you tell us who your intended audience is, it may actually work in your favor. Invest in perfumers' time to develop distinctive, lasting scents. Yeah, I feel like there might be a pressure in the industry to put out fragrances before even the perfumer is ready or satisfied with their composition, or it's been long enough to be out there. So there is possibly that. So basically, these patterns explain why experienced reviewers often react to new launches with fatigue or disappointment rather than excitement. And like, you be mindful of also. I feel like there's also this thing that just be mindful of what you do as a brand, like how you treat people in general has an effect on, eventually will have an effect on your products. If you're gonna go crazy on striking YouTube channels, if you're gonna go crazy on shutting down any fragrance groups online, if you're gonna go crazy on like the exclusivity of, in this day and age, like, I was in Minneapolis, I was ready to buy those coffret of 5 of the Chanels, but they wouldn't even take it out for me before I paid for it. And I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. How can I buy something without having seen it? And I am not, and I was ready. I was there and I was going to buy it and I had the money. Like, but I walked out without it. This has an effect on you. That kind of exclusivity and kind of the image that you are trying to put out in the world leaves a bad taste in people's mouth, and it's not working these days. It may have worked like 30 years ago. It isn't working now, to be honest. Today's rich people are generally dressed in sweatpants and like, you know, runners, and they don't look like, the real money people. They don't look like, like they're wearing all these, like very weird clothing or whatever. If you're judging your, oh, thank you, Dushan. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. If you're judging your buyers based on how they look like, or they're doing it too exclusive to this point, it's gonna leave a bitter taste in people's mouth, and even people who have money just gonna walk away from you. That's my take. I may be wrong. Who knows? Thank you very much, Deshaun. I really appreciate you. And thanks everyone for listening to my, yapping. Hope you guys had fun. Please leave me in comments what do you think of what the points that we discussed. Is there anything else that you think is contributing to this kind of disappointment in the? Oh, thank you very much. Finally, it's working. Oh, some more. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And let me know what your thoughts are on each point. How do you think the fragrance industry can improve what they're doing, if there's any solution? I'm going to leave the link to both Sebastian's video and the Day Kip's video. If you have not watched them, please do go watch them. This is where my thought process came from. And I shall see you guys later. Love you all. Have a great rest of the week. I will see you by end of the week, but anyways, see you. Thank you.